It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, each and every weekday morning here with you for the Center Square on YouTube. You can find the podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus and get the headlines in your inbox at thecentersquare.com. It's not just Illinois. We also look at what's going on across the country and other states and even over in Washington, D.C. with the Washington team focusing on what's happening in Congress. And while, yes, we do focus a lot on what happens at the Illinois State House, you also have members of Congress that are doing things impacting taxpayers right here in Illinois as well. So we've got a couple of things we're going to tackle. Number one, we'll have a conversation with Congresswoman Robin Kelly about the big, beautiful bill, the impacts on taxpayers here in Illinois, but also about her bid for the U.S. Senate. So we'll have that conversation next here live. Then after that, another segment. I chatted with Comptroller Susana Mendoza yesterday, not about politics. She is actually going to be making an announcement today as to what her political future is, so we may hear more about that. I didn't know about that announcement when I chatted with her yesterday, but we talked about pensions, another big issue with the Comptroller making a extra payment this month to make up for what could be a tough time in November, getting more return on investment. So digging a little bit deep into the weeds there with that, with the conversation I had with Comptroller Mendoza. So stay tuned. That's what's coming up here with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join us each and every weekday morning for more Illinois in Focus Daily. Feels like the November 2024 election was yesterday, but for some, it feels like the past 6 months have been an eternity, with a lot of activity over in Washington, D.C., but we're getting ready to ramp up into the 2026 election cycle with names already being tossed into the ring for various seats, not just here in the state of Illinois with members of the General Assembly announcing their re-election campaigns and Governor Pritzker announcing a bid for a third term. You've also got members of Congress that are vying for political office and some newcomers as well. But somebody who's been around for a bit is looking to move from the U.S. House to the U.S. Senate. And here with Illinois in Focus Daily, I'm Greg Bishop. We're joined by Congresswoman Robin Kelly here to discuss some of the latest in her bid for the U.S. Senate, but also some reaction to the big, beautiful bill that President Donald Trump signed. Congresswoman, thank you so much for taking time with us this morning. How are you doing up there? I apologize. Let me 1 second. I got to turn your mic back on. All right. Good morning, Congresswoman.
Good morning. How are you?
You know, I can't complain. I could, but I don't want to waste your time, obviously. But let's get into first, before we talk about your campaign here. Let's talk about the big, beautiful bill. What you believe this does to taxpayers, to those on Medicaid, education, energy prices, and then I want to get some of your reaction to what the Republicans have to say about this.
Sure. Well, I don't think it's so beautiful. I think it's a big, ugly law now, and 17 million people will be losing their health care. Maybe not right away, but gradually it'll get to that mark. And 500,000 people in Illinois, people will be losing food assistance, and people on Medicaid will be severely hurt. And despite the misnomer, a lot of people that get food assistance or Medicaid, they work. They just don't earn enough money. And we haven't talked about, even with environmental projects like solar. I was at a hearing and one of the union members talked about how they hired all these people, trained all these people for all the solar projects because of what we passed under the Biden-Harris administration. And now all of that is on pause or stopping. So, you know, people are not going to have jobs. And when hospitals have to close, that'll affect, of course, people's health. And also people won't have jobs. And hospitals and access to healthcare is already such a big issue, in the rural parts of Illinois and all places. And my district is urban, suburban, and rural. I have 4,500 farms in my district.
When it comes to the claims that hospitals are going to close, Republicans point to a $50 billion fund that's set aside specifically for rural hospitals and safety net hospitals, I believe. Is that not enough to help with what might be some rough waters ahead?
Well, I just came back from doing a town hall with Lita Jeffries in Louisiana, and they said 33 of their hospitals can close. In Illinois, nine rural, this is just rural hospitals can close. I don't think that's enough money. When you just think about those two states alone and you think about the entire United States, no, that is not, enough money. And then also there's urban and suburban hospitals that are going to be affected too.
Congresswoman Robin Kelly with us here with the Center Square's Illinois in Focus Daily. The claim that the governor made before the bill was enacted, he said people are going to die. Republicans say that's fear-mongering.
Well, I disagree with the Republicans, and I do agree with the governor because people are going to die. If people don't have health care, they're going to wait longer and longer and longer to go to the doctor, and then they're going to go to the emergency room, which will cost all of us more money. And we already have issues like maternal mortality and morbidity. The United States ranks terribly when it comes to delivering babies for mamas. And Black women die 3 times the rate of white women, and but all women, too many die. And so what's going to happen there? No, I agree. People will die because they'll wait to take care of their health because they can't afford it. And people are already getting letters, from their insurance places or their health care.
Congresswoman, Republicans also say that able-bodied people should be able to at least do 20 hours of work or community service in order to help with the Medicaid costs. Why is that too much to ask? Doesn't that just essentially take us back to the pre-COVID requirements?
Well, first of all, like I said, most people do work. And they're trying to act like all these lazy people are on Medicaid or getting food stamps. Most people do work. They just cannot afford, they don't make enough money. So they can't afford their health care. They need some extra help, or they can't afford, to buy groceries. And the thing we need to think about when you think about SNAP, the food supplemental, that if people can't buy groceries, they're not going to the grocery store. If they don't shop, the stores are not going to the farmers. We are all in this together. And people seem to forget that we're all connected. If hospitals close, that affects everybody, not just the person on Medicaid. It affects everybody. Even more people will have less access.
And there'd no question have impacts on local economies as well if a local
Definitely.
rural hospital closes. Congresswoman Robin Kelly, one last question on the big, beautiful bill, and then we'll talk about the 2026 March primary, which is rapidly approaching. Listen, the big, beautiful bill, whatever it's called. All right, at one point it was called a One Big Beautiful Bill Act. I don't know what the final title of it was, but it's a big bill. There's a lot in there. Is there anything that you see as positive that's in that bill?
There might be something minor, but nothing comes to the top. I think because the ugly is so ugly, and to me, it's immoral and evil. So, that's what takes precedence: people's lives, people's health, people being able to, childcare, caps on loans. That's going to hurt who can become a doctor, who can go to medical school. There's so much ugly and frankly evil and mean that I just can't believe that was a bill signed into law.
Even like the no tax on tips, the no tax on
but the no tax on tips, even the devil's in the details. That's temporary. But the idea that the well-connected and well-off, their tax breaks are permanent. And, we tend to look at the headline, but not delve deeper. So, yeah. And there's, no tax on tip sounds better than it is. I'll put it like that.
And then finally on the big beautiful bill, Illinois obviously had the Illinois Invest in Kids program, the tax credit scholarship program that was Illinois based. Now there's going to be this federal program in 2027. Should Illinois opt into that?
Well, I want us to do whatever we can do to, within reason, to continue the programs that we can continue. I compliment Illinois. Like I had legislation that Medicaid postpartum coverage went from 60 days to a year. Illinois, was the first to enact that. So I'm sure Illinois will look at what is best for them to do between the state legislature and also with the governor.
Congresswoman Robin Kelly with us. You are vying to take the U.S. Senate seat that U.S. Senator Dick Durbin's retiring from after this term. You've got quite a history of elections. You've ran in a safe Democratic jurisdiction for Congress. I think I saw the vote totals are like 81 to 14 or something like that in some of these races. So clearly it's a safe district.
After I got there, it was a battle to get there.
Right, but you also beat an incumbent Democrat too in a primary, which is something else to mention here. But when it came to a statewide race, that didn't work out for you. I believe it was Treasurer against Rutherford back in 2010.
Sure. I won the Democratic primary, but I didn't win at the end. But I just said there was another plan for me, and it was Congress.
So with that, you ran those two types of races, right? A statewide race, a local safe district race. What lessons have you learned? What are you going to take away from that when it comes to appealing to the entirety of Illinois for their vote for U.S. Senate?
Well, as I said, my district is urban, suburban, and rural. I feel like I have Illinois in my district right now. And how I approach things, most people want a roof over their head, a job, they want health care, good education for their kids, and they want to feel safe. No matter where you live, I think most people want that. And I have built good relations all over the state. I was the Democratic Party chair, so I've worked up and down the state, and then I was Alexi Giannoulias' chief of staff in the treasurer's office. So, I've worked, as I said, across the state on the government side and on the other side. I think listening to people, listening about what their struggles are every day, I just really believe that we all do better when we all do better. We're all healthier when we're all healthier, and safer when we're all safer. And those are the things that I'm interested in, and I have worked on in all my life in politics or in government.
There's going to be a lot of time here between now and November to really delve into policy positions and such. But heading into the March primary, there's a crowded field looking to get into the U.S. Senate seat to make it through that Democratic primary in March. What sets you aside from the likes of Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, which just stacked up a bunch of endorsements, including the governor, including Speaker Welch and others? You've got another colleague of yours in Congress, Raja Krishnamoorthi, vying for it as well. How do you distinguish yourself different from your fellow Democrats?
Well, I'm the only one that's worked effectively on every level of government, from local government to state to county, and now the federal government. And as I said, my district is urban, suburban, and rural. I have Illinois in my district, so I'm the one that has passed federal legislation to affect urban, suburban, and rural areas. So I think I have, some things going on that they don't have. And also, even though I didn't win the treasurer's race, I'm the one that has won running in the primary, not on my own, not connected with the governor. So I have done that also, and my opponents cannot say that. But I'm a very hard worker. I have that reputation. I have great constituent services, and those are the things I will carry on as I go into the Senate. You need a proven leader that can hit the ground running, because Trump and J.D. Vance will still be there, and I have great relations in the Senate, and I've worked with the Senate to pass a lot of different bills, from government efficiency, gun violence prevention, healthcare, consumer protection. I just ask people to check the record, check the work product.
And then finally here, Congresswoman Robin Kelly, money, obviously important in politics. Governor Pritzker's a billionaire. We tapped, Juliana Stratton. How do you surmount any financial, hurdles there may be, including opponents having substantial war chests?
Well, you know what? Again, I'm asking people to check the record, check the work product, check what's been done, and hopefully they'll let that be the eyes into the future. There's examples more and more about you don't have to have the most money. We've had that in Angela Alsobrook, the senator, Karen Bass, the mayor of LA. We just had it in New York, and I'm just hoping people look past the money. Having the most money doesn't mean you're the most qualified. And I will do the work. I know that I'm a workhorse, not a show horse.
Congresswoman Robin Kelly, greatly appreciate you taking the time with us this morning here live with the Center Square and Illinois in Focus. Surely we'll talk again before the March primary. I
look forward to it.
We haven't even gotten into the official filing season yet.
Right.
I mean, that happens later this month into early next month. So we'll see all the names that officially get filed at the State Board of Elections. Greatly appreciate you taking the time this morning.
Thank you so much.
It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning here for more Illinois in Focus Daily. Pension payments could net $20 million in additional return on investments, giving more bang for the tax buck here in Illinois. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning. You can get the podcast where you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus and you'll find it. Also get the headlines in your inbox. Go to thecentersquare.com and sign up for the newsletter where you'll see this headline: Illinois Comptroller, early monthly pension payment could generate $20 million in return on investment. So Illinois' pension system, obviously something that we've tackled quite a bit, at least in my 11 years covering the State House, and even before actually being on the ground at the Capitol in Springfield. Pensions were a huge issue. They've been a huge issue since they were brought about. And the state's unfunded liability for the 5 pension funds stands at about $140 billion. That has gone down to like 139, then it was up to like 141. So it's kind of fluctuated, but it's stayed about $140 billion for several years. And it's a big issue that ratings agencies cite as a concern. And again, it's among the highest unfunded liability in the nation. What this means is you've got like $10 billion plus a year that just goes to the pensions from the state's annual budget. And that is not enough from some actuarial positions saying that 45% funded pensions, not good. Needs to be 90 plus to 100% funded. And there is a goal to get to that. We're going to see increased payments from the state's coffers to pay more and more and more for pensions in the future years here before we get to what actuaries are estimating could be that 90% threshold. But it's going to cost even more tax dollars. But one way that the pension funds try to offset those ongoing costs is by investing in the stock market. And by investing in the stock market, they could take the billions of dollars that they do have in the funds and get return on investment on that to put back into the funds. So it's kind of the genesis of this idea. So I talked with Comptroller Susana Mendoza. She is the person who cuts the checks from Illinois taxpayers' checkbook. And she announced yesterday Now, she is making an extra payment in the month of July for November as well. And this is something that she fought for in the legislature, to be able to get the ability to make an extra payment months in advance. So here's what she said led to this and where we're at today and how it's going to impact taxpayers down the line.
Yeah, well, I joke around that I believe in that adage that time in the market beats timing the market, right? Which is why we've been very focused in the controller's office of trying to make advance payments to the pension systems when we're able to afford to do that. And I was very frustrated for years knowing that there was a state law that actually required that I make payments into the pension system in 1/12 increments. In other words, that meant that I had to pay the pensions for that specific month, and I couldn't prepay pensions for, like, for example, the next month, even if I had the money available. And so that is not really good financially. It's not smart financially, because the longer we have money working in a pension system, the better the returns and the less that those pension systems have to think about drawing down payments because they might not have enough money in the system to meet their obligations. So we really pushed hard to be able to, when we have better months of revenue, for example, April, which is tax season, is always a very good revenue month for us. But the month of February is always our worst month. And the month of November is also a very tough month from a cash flow perspective. If I'm able to actually prepay those tough months in good months, then that really helps not only my cash flow as controller, but more importantly, it brings a lot of stability and predictability to the pension systems themselves and saves money on the pension obligations because the money's working in the pension system instead of out of it.
So when I had this conversation with the comptroller yesterday, again, it was before I knew she was going to be making a political announcement about her political future. Today in Chicago, she's making that announcement. Some speculating she's going to run for Chicago mayor. We shall see what the announcement's going to be. But she said that paying ahead of time, it helps on the return on investment. So making that extra payment in July for November means that the money's going to be in the system a bit longer.
Sure. So let me walk you through like this month, right? July. So on the first day that we combined with the regular July payments into the systems. Payments issued this month total $1.756 billion. Now that number includes $878 million in prepayments. So in other words, 100% more than we would normally put in that monthly amount. So the way this works is that the Illinois State Retirement Systems anticipates that by us being able to prepay that $878 million of the state's annual pension contribution, that'll allow funds to remain invested for a few months longer because of the prepayment, and possibly will produce an extra $20 million for retirees' pensions. So just think about this. By us being really smart about how we're depositing the money and prepaying it when we have it available, which means it's going into the system sooner than it was supposed to, this will create $20 million likely in additional pension funds being available. Now, that's in addition to the estimated $7 million gained when the Illinois Office of Controller did this exact same thing back in July of 2024. So you can see that by just doing better cash management and giving me the flexibility of prepaying into the pension systems when I can, everybody wins. The pension systems win. They get stability and predictability. I'm able to better cash flow as your controller. And most importantly, we're producing more money for taxpayers in those retiree pensions.
So again, the idea is to get a return on investment with an early payment to bet on the market. I mean, that's essentially what they're doing here is they're betting on the market to give them sizable returns. Now, $20 million in estimated returns, that's not necessarily going to solve the state's $140 billion unfunded pension liability, but it's something, right? The comptroller says that they're still only making 12 payments a year, once a month, but what the law that she got enacted into last year allowed her to do was to, again, project that, hey, November is going to be a tough month for state revenue coming in. We just had news that we got more growth in state revenue for this month, so she's going to take those dollars and put them, what's statutorily required, but paying it in advance, so that money is in the stock market, betting that it's going to increase a percentage, and that money will then go back into the pension funds. I'm already seeing in the live chat some people saying that they don't like that idea, that it's like relying on stocks. In the short term, you're going to get some return on investment. In the long term, is that going to be a strong enough investment to make up the 3% compounded annual increase that retirees get from the pension funds? So again, to the issue of they're still making those monthly payments, Comptroller Mendoza breaks it down a little bit more so maybe people in their home finances can understand this.
Yes. So we're still making the monthly payments that we would normally make, but we're making them before we would normally pay them. So think about it like I'm trying to break it down into really easy terms. Like if you and your household know that, every month you have to make X amount you have to pay X amount of bills. But there's let's say 2 months out of the year where you get a big bonus from your job. And you know that there's other months that you might get less hours at work. So you might be bringing in less money that month. In order to be able to have this, stability and predictability throughout the year, and that you don't miss any payments, and that you can make your money work better for you, in those months where you get your bonus, you can set aside that money to maybe prepay some bills so that you don't have to worry about them in the months where you have less revenue coming in. So it's not exactly an apples to apples comparison, but it kind of gives you an idea of what it is to you manage your money at home every month. I have to manage the money for the state every month. And some months we have more revenues than others. And some months we have, much, much tighter cash flow. So we might actually have more expenditures or more bills come due than we had revenue coming in that month. But we can make up for that in the months where we had really good revenues, anticipating what those bills are going to be that are going to make it tough for us to cash flow in those hard months and get rid of those obligations months ahead of time. So hopefully that was somewhat easy to understand, but essentially what we're saying is let's not obligate ourselves to only paying pensions every month, but let's prepay them as often as we can, because the longer that money is actually working in the pension system, the more money it's creating an interest for the pension system. So it's an added bonus for everyone, and it helps stabilize the systems, which, as you know, are severely underfunded. And anything that we can do to improve the funding of those systems is a win for Illinois taxpayers.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the annual reports. I know you're familiar with Truth in Accounting. They look at all states, and I think they say that Nevada and Illinois. All right, sorry about that. For some reason, my mic button wasn't working. That's Comptroller Susana Mendoza with the conversation about the increased pension payment for this month going into later on this year, anticipating a tough time in November with state revenues, and how that could lead to an increase of return on investment. Now, some of the commenters on the live chat talked about how the comptroller still has not released the annual comprehensive financial reports for several years, actually. And I did chat with her about that as well. So we'll have that for another segment later this week, because she says that she is frustrated that she is still waiting on the Auditor General to complete those reports.
Right. No, and let me just start by saying that I'm equally frustrated by this. It has been incredibly frustrating that we've not been able to issue the full annual comprehensive financial report for 2023 and for 2024. But the reality is that we cannot issue either year until the Illinois Auditor General's office completes their audit.
So she told me that she's had conversations with the Auditor General's office and the governor's office, and they're all in agreement. They need to do better about this, and they are putting in a new type of implementing a strategy to do a statewide audit instead of having the Auditor General do specific state agency audits to spur on getting that annual comprehensive financial report released quicker. Illinois is one of 2 states that hasn't released their recent comprehensive financial reports, especially leading into a new budget year where they didn't have those numbers to base it off of the previous spending levels into a new fiscal year. So we'll share some more of that with you coming up. Still waiting on some responses from the Auditor General's office, and we'll also hear a little bit from Truth in Accounting on that too. So that'll be a segment later on this week. All right. But yes, go to the website, thecentersquare.com, and you can find the latest on what's happening with the pension system. But you can also find other stories at Illinois. Get the newsletter in your inbox. Sign up today. thecentersquare.com. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning here for more Illinois in Focus Daily. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Good conversation there in the live chat, where again you can go and take part in the conversation each and every weekday morning. Looking at some of the comments, who told Greg to devote so much time for Democrats? Democrats are the dominating party in Illinois. Talk to Republicans too. You know, they're the super minority. A lot of conversation about pensions, a lot of conversation about our conversation with Robin Kelly. So go check all that out. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share it up with your friends. And wake up with us here each and every weekday morning for more Illinois in Focus Daily, right here with the Center Square on YouTube or via podcast, Illinois in Focus. But you can also get the news segments here each and every weekday morning with the Center Square. Have a great Wednesday.